a short story about the time I feel that the devil approached me in the fitness industry. Recently, I won't mention any names of these fitness influencers from the 90s and the 80s, but just to, respect, show them respect. But one of them who was huge, very influential on infomercial CDs of a certain fitness style and everything like that, which many of them you familiar with. A lot of the programs, if you watch TV or you were up early or up late at night, you saw these commercials for these products and these programs and everything, and you may even invested in some of them. I know I did. I know I had a few of them. I admired a lot of these people, and not only did I admire them, I researched them to make sure they were legit. Some of them been around since my mom was younger. Some of them carried over from that time until I was a teenager or younger. And, so God bless it, they were able to get that out to the world at a time when people needed, exercise. And it helped. Unfortunately, a lot of them were manipulated and utilized for their skill and their talent and their love for wanting to better and help people in the industry, which also left them, having to start over or quote unquote broke, thinking they were going to get more money or have better deals or contracts or what have you. So I wanted to explain how it happened. It could have happened to me. I stayed in the industry because I love to better people and help people become better. And I just know that I'm on the planet to help people. And I'll be all I'm on the planet to help people. I'd be doing it if I was a janitor. So usually when this happens, someone's gonna approach you and they're gonna have an answer to everything. And when you're in the fitness industry and you're just starting out, whether it's your beginners or whether you're you in the middle and you're climbing and you're working for yourself, you grinding, you training everybody, you taking schedules at weird hours, and you trying to figure it all out, and the money may, people up and down, they canceling, they scheduling, they canceling, they scheduling, life happening to people, and at this time it was a different economy. I got into training right before the real estate bubble. So I had the experience of climbing and booming in the industry, and then experiencing people I'm training while they're on their lunch break, they're going back to lunch and their whole floor has been laid off or fired or terminated. And I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of people in the athletic arena. I was downtown Chicago, so I had the opportunity of, pardon me, this hospital nearby. I had the opportunity of meeting a lot of athletes and athletes' wives and husbands and so have you, and doctors. I was in a prime area of Chicago, so I was able to meet a lot of prominent people and help a lot of prominent people. And at this time, I had just got into the groove of working for myself. I decided to jump out there. A client came to me and told me, you're too good to be working in a gym, making this little bit of money. I'm gonna have my husband come talk to you, and he's like a good negotiator, and if he can't convince you to work for yourself, then you're a lost cause. And prior to that, another trainer that I respected in the gym had told me, hey man, you need to work for yourself. You're too good to be up in here. And so when that client talked to me, I took a chance. I jumped and started working for myself. And I was doing in-home training at that time, which meant I was driving to people, all over the city, all over the state. I even went as far as Michigan and Wisconsin to train people. And I wish I can tell you at that time, I was smart enough to charge what I was worth. I was just out there, so I didn't know what I was worth yet. So I'm being honest. I didn't know to charge, at that time for gas and for this and for that. It was just like more so like I was just adamant about helping them. Oh my God, somebody called me. Oh my God, somebody called me. I'm gone. In the car, let's go. And gas was a little different back then too. So mind you, I told you it was 2006, 2007. So gas was a little bit different then. So as I was doing that, and then once I finally got out there more, I started getting more and more clientele. Now I'm starting work at like 2 a.m. in the morning, grinding till 11 at night, 10 at night, all for myself. And I started competing at that time too. Got into bodybuilding, had a crazy $1 million injury on stage where my kneecap just went behind my leg. No tears, no fractures, no nothing. Just a freak thing. I made it through that. After that, went into powerlifting. Powerlifting, I formulated a team. Me and my team, we traveled around the country competing in a drug-free federation as well as USPF federation. So at this time, I'm doing two things. I'm training and grinding. And when I say train, I mean training for competition and grinding as far as working. And I just happened to be in a gym one day. And you know how you see someone at many different places and you're wondering, man, is it just a coincidence or is this person like, because I mean, usually even me, I had gym memberships, just as I do now. I got gym memberships at a lot of different gyms. So I could walk into so many different gyms and run into people that I know. Just like if I'm in the city of Chicago and I'm walking downtown, 9 times out of 10, I'm running into somebody that either knows me from the gym or knows me from competing. Even though it was years ago I was competing, but they either know me from working out in the gym for my personal self or training in different gyms. But this person, this woman, I saw her like at 3 different gyms, and I was just like, it's a crazy coincidence that my schedule is like all over the place, and I'm training different people at different times. And this woman, very fit, very good shape, and it was just like, and she just was like maneuvering around everywhere I was at all different times, and it was just kind of weird. And I just said, well, whatever. I'm in my life of things, and so it was one day I switched one client from early AM to the evening. She just happened to be in the gym, and she asked me, like, you a trainer? And I was just like, and a lot of times when you these big box gyms, you got to be careful because if they find out you training, sometimes it varies from different gyms. They'll put you out, cancel your membership. And but back then, I mean, I'm an athlete. Everybody knows that. Bringing trophies, bringing medals to the gym. So it's like I was kind of known that, yeah, he may operate in here helping somebody here and there. People may walk up and ask him. He's an athlete, he's a professional athlete. So I told her, I said, yeah, I said, I do, looking around cautiously. And she said, well, maybe, we can, work out together, you can train me. So I was like, I said, you don't need training for me. I'm looking, I mean, she was in good shape, chopped up arms, abs, slender build, looked like she's already competing in at least figure or something. And I said, you don't need me to train. She said, no, I want to get stronger. And she's like, I know you're a powerlifter. I seen you powerlifting in here. And I said, okay, And at this time, when it comes to training, and any trainer that tells you otherwise, either they got another job or something else going, but when you in the grind, in the thick of it, you don't turn down any money. You don't turn down anything. It's like $1,000, $500, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 scheduled for 6 months out. You don't turn down anything. So I told her, I said, oh, sure. And first session, wrote me a check, $2,500, just like that. We scheduled the sessions. Cool, everything's going cool. After we trained for, I want to say 3 weeks, we were meeting at the gym where we met at. And she came up and she told me out the locker room, she's like, man, I dropped the check for you. I don't know where it is. She's like, I don't know if it's in my car. I don't know if I lost it or what. And I'm like, oh wow. I'm like, I said, I don't know. So weekend passes. Monday I come back to the gym. The GM of the gym, a big friend of mine, he's an admirer of my team. He asked me, he said, man, I need to talk to you, man. And I was like, what's up? And he said, you training in my gym? And me, if you got me in your sights, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna admit, yeah, So I told him, I said, well, yeah, man. I said I was just assisting somebody, man. I said I wasn't doing nothing major. He said, well, one of the janitors found this. He said that's a pretty big chunk of change, man, for somebody who just giving advice. And I said, man, I'm just trying to make a living, bro. He's like, well, he said, considering the fact that, they creep around here a lot, man. He said, and I'm being watched, as a new GM. He said, I know you and the guys. He said, I respect you guys, love you guys, you my guys. But he said that janitor gave that to the wrong person. They gave it to me to handle. So he said, I can't allow it to go down like that because they're gonna check back with me, and if they see that name on that check is being operational with you, he said, now it's back at me, then I gotta come back at you. And he's like, and I don't want to do that to you, you my guy. I was like, okay, cool. So informed her. She said, well, okay, well, we can go to, this gym over here and in my house, or we can go to, East Bank, which is a, wealthy gym in Chicago. We can go to that gym. And I said, okay. I said, well, I got a membership at East Bank. So I said, well, we can rotate there. So mind you, it's like now it's been like maybe a week or two because I'm trying to kind of keep it down. I'm trying to keep it down at the gym where I met her at, training and everything. So now I'm just training with my teammates, and that's it. In the afternoon, my teammates, we all throwing down together, and that's it. I'm not messing around. I'm not operating with anybody in there because I don't want to, one, lose my membership, and two, get him in trouble. He vouched for me, so respect due. And after this, so it's like 2 weeks have gone by. So we meet up at East Bank. And when I was waiting for her at East Bank, when she finally came, she ran and jumped and hugged me as if we were like family. Jumped up, hugged me, wrapped her legs around me, and I was just like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, hey, I'm like, hey, and I was like, I said, man, what's with the big intro? And she's like, oh, I missed work, I missed training. She's like, you were just getting me a little stronger. I said, you already strong. I said, you've been working out forever. Then, mind you, all this time, I never knew she was a trainer. She never exposed that. Usually, I would ask people like what they do for a living, so I kind of know how to gauge my training style around. And I started doing that after I worked with a group of ladies who were lunch ladies. And I had them doing curls. They wanted to get stronger in the upper body. Had them doing curls and shoulder press. Then they told me they couldn't serve the kids lunch. I was like, oh man, I love the kids. I can't even starve the kids. You can't even feed the kids. And so I said, oh, okay. So I never really asked. And so when we got to East Bank, now it's been led on to me that she also works in the industry just on a different level, like kind of like massage therapy and things of that nature, and more Pilates, yoga, and minor on the strength training, more balance focus, things like that. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm like, I said, you never told me that. I said, wow, okay. And so I said, cool. So got the tour with her at East Bank, like where she wanted to work out and everything. And East Bank was wealthy gym, big gym, massive people from Chicago work out there, well-known names of former presidents and former TV show people and things of that nature. And just walking around there, like the trainers were intimidated and people were looking at me and people were thinking I was a celebrity. At this time, I was weighing about maybe 240, 250. And so I'm huge. And at this time, I'm trying to also lean down because I'm competing in powerlifting, and it's like I don't want to compete with the big boys, even though I'm lifting that kind of weight. I didn't want to move around with that kind of weight because it was making me feel sick a lot of times. It's too heavy on my lower back and breathing heavy. Man, I looked phenomenal, but it's like breathing heavy, and it's just like it was just always feeling sluggish. I started coming with things like acid reflux, just things I didn't deal with when I was a leaner guy. So I was trying to lean back down. But anyhow, so as I got to know her, she, like, well, let's after the session, let's sit and talk for a minute. I got an idea. And I said, oh, okay. And it was like, matter of fact, let's not sit and talk here. Let's go back to my place. I said, nah. I said, unless we gonna, start training there or something. I was like, I was like, nah, I'm cool. I said, East Bank will work for me. And she said, oh, okay. And so conveniently, one day, she couldn't meet at East Bank. Can you just come up? I live about 15 minutes from East Bank. Can you just come to my house and train there? Because I got to get to this meeting. And So I said, I was like, okay, I'm paid up. Got to. I'm going to honor that. So I go. The flirtation started. The hitting on me started. Shutting it all down. Boom, 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 boom. Never that concept. I never, ever, never would have claimed. Never, ever, ever. I don't care who, what, whom, or what. Never with my business, because I know that it could destroy you as a business owner. And so she played this video for me, and she said, "You see the film work in this, like the commercials and stuff and everything?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "That's pretty cool." And she said, "Well, I know the producers and film directors of a well-known person's TV show in Chicago who no longer had their TV show, and they started a company where they're helping fitness people get fitness tapes and videos and DVDs and things of that nature, and they want to do more of a such and such name company, which I don't disclose, like that, where they're, videos, and this guy that does this, I met him. This guy that does that, I met him. This girl that does that, I met her. And these people do all the filming for it. And this person is the agent for it. And I think you should meet them. And I said, well, why? I said, I love what I do, but I don't carry along a gimmick like that. I'm not a gimmick trainer. I'm a help a person figure out their life plan trainer. And you're gonna grow from there. And then as your goals change, I'll help you climb that mountain as you get further and further along. But I'm not and we're doing 1 and 2. And, I can, but that's not my steez. That's not my style. So she continued to push that and push that and push that. Sorry guys, I'm in the metropolitan area. It's kind of hot with ambulance and police and everything, but she pushed that and pushed that and pushed that and pushed that. And finally I was just like, and then came to talk about the money. And these are the numbers you can stand to make. And we can put you here, and your face could be here, and you could travel around speaking about this, and you could do this and do that and do this and do that. And we, can be the picture and the couple of this and of that. And I said, I was like, I'm married, right? And I'm like, I can hide it. I got the ring, like, yeah, but we can be the face of that. And I was like, I don't think so. But at this time in life, I had the opportunity to walk right into that world. But I researched what had happened to people in the past, especially people from the 80s and the early 90s and mid 90s. I researched on how this and this was used for fame, and then they were left with and having to climb their way back up. Luckily, they had fans and a lot of people. So gratefully, I chose not to take that path. And I chose to take my own path and stay in the industry and go within the industry my way. Frank Sinatra. Had some lumps, took some losses, had some ups and downs, climbed the mountain, went back down, climbed back up again, still climbing to this day. Still, hits here and there, but still climbing, still making it through, still surviving, still making it, still helping others, still inspiring others, still encouraging others, still helping people figure out their life plan inside and out. Still love what I do. So gratefully, I didn't accept the devil's contract. I didn't accept the devil's handshake, and I didn't accept the devil's bed. So I'm going to leave it there, and we'll be right back again with another part to train the world. Peace. Fight for your life.